Yesterday, I told you about the residual power within us, which resides in the sacrum bone. This power is called as Kundalini. This is the power that ascends through these centers and gives us our realization, our rebirth. I've also told you that in so many people, you can see the pulsation of this Kundalini clearly with your naked eyes. You can also see its rising in the different centers up to this point. You can also feel the pulsation on your head. And you can also afterwards, when it breaks this area, you can feel the cool breeze blowing from your hand. This is the energy of your spirit. You can say this is the manifestation of the spirit. Thus you enter into a new realm of collective consciousness. You become collectively conscious. You start feeling others on your fingertips. All these 5 fingers plus 6 and 7 points are the centers within us. You get enlightened because you can feel them here and sometimes within also. Some people do not feel it on the hand and some people did not feel it for some time yesterday. But they definitely felt on their head. Now one has to know that this is the knowledge which is known to many Indians. Adi Shankaracharya has very elaborately written about Kundalini awakening and its manifestation. He has described all these centers. These centers are created within us during our evolutionary process in a vertical manner. But in a horizontal manner, your subtleness grows into various emotional, mental and physical areas. Sahaj Yoga means, Saha means with and Ja means born. Today I will not tell you more about the gurus who are trying to exploit the Western people. Because you are spiritually very naive and are very great seekers. You have been seeking for ages, and when they came to know about your seeking, they floated an enterprise. But you have got Christ before you to understand. He never floated any enterprise. He never ran any courses. He never took any money from anyone. Why should we not take a lesson from him? He was a carpenter's son. He lived like a carpenter. Krishna was a king. He lived like a king. They are not parasites to live on your money. But somehow we were too naive to understand these subtle things. We saw right, whatever has happened has happened. You have to get your realization. It is your right. In your seeking, you have to get it. But it has to be an actualization, not just a blah blah blah. It has to happen within you. And there is nothing to be frightened of. Some people have written such huge books about Kundalini. They do not know a word about Kundalini. One gentleman has discussed for hundreds of pages whether the Kundalini is in the stomach or is in the brain. One other person has floated a research institute. What research can you do with your ego? Before realization, whatever you do through your ego. To know God, you must know your spirit. You cannot know God without knowing your spirit. That has to be achieved first. All the great saints of India and all over the world have written the same. We had one great poet in England whose name was William Blake. He has written great things about realization. Now for you it is necessary to understand that it is a happening that should take place. And otherwise it has no meaning at all. I will explain to you how God has made you so beautifully and how you get your second birth. To begin with, you must know the light which is enlightened can only enlighten other lights. For example, there is a candle which is enlightened, can enlighten another candle which is not enlightened. But if this one is not enlightened, what is going to do to that? Now, the candle is all made that way. The candle is just ready to be enlightened. Only thing what one has to do is to put this candle next to that one and enlighten it. In the same way, your instrument is just ready to be enlightened. As yesterday I said that if I tell you that in this area there is lot of music and you cannot hear, but if you put a television you can even see the pictures. Yesterday so many people got their realization here. Practically most of them. It's a remarkable thing that's happening because it is the blossom time. Many fruits are going to be ripened and matured because the transformation is going to take place. As I told you yesterday, you cannot transfer a flower into a fruit. It is done by nature. You do not know the technique. You cannot achieve it either. It is done spontaneously. You have to be like children. It is a fact. If you are very complicated, it doesn't work out. If you are like children, it works out much faster. So within us are placed those 7 centers which I am showing you. Yesterday I told you about the first center, which is guarding the protocol of the Kundalini. It's the center of innocence. And this innocence is the first essence of life. But when the Kundalini rises, she rises above that. At the first center, we can say we were carbon atoms to begin with. The sustenance or the religion of carbon atom is that it has got 4 valencies. Because of its 4 valencies, it combines with other elements and forms life. Above that is the center of creation. It receives its power from the yellow line, which is responsible for our action. This is the Kriya Shakti. Also you can call it Prana Shakti. This power gives us our power to think and also gives us power to act through our body. The channel through which it flows is called in Sanskrit language as Pingala Nadi. This is the subtle channel inside the spinal cord or inside the brain also. On the outside, this subtle channel expresses grossly as left sympathetic nervous system. Right sympathetic. On the left hand side, you see another channel of the blue color which needs this last center. This channel is called as Ida Nadi. This supplies our emotional energy. It gives us our existence. It deals with our past, with our conditioning. This is the psyche about which the psychologists talk about. But they are very half-baked people. They know very little, that to about only one of the channels. And they have created terrible problems for the Western people. Like Freud, he says that you should try to decondition yourself. When you try to decondition yourself, you have to use your ego. Means the right side. You have to go into kriya or action. As a result, you develop an ego there. The white-colored balloon. And if you have too much action of the left side, you develop a superego. So whichever way you try, you cannot go in the center. For example, this second center is also responsible for transforming your fat cells for the use of the brain. If you think too much, then it neglects these other duties. It has to look after the upper part of the liver, the pancreas, the spleen, the kidneys, and the uterus. Poor thing has to work day in, day out because you are all the time thinking. Then you, as a result, you develop a bad liver. On top of that, you drink too much. Poor liver gets tired. This is all self-destroying. Liver has a very important job to do. It clears all the poisons of the body as heat. The heat must pass into the water. But when you take water, when you take alcohol, it changes the form of water. The water becomes like this. Oxygen here on top and hydrogen here. It does not receive any heat anymore. Same thing happens in cancer. Cancer people never feel the temperature, never getting temperature, but they feel very much heated up. Now, in the same way, the spleen and the pancreas go out. Pancreas gives you diabetes, and the spleen, gives you anemia condition. This makes your temperament also very irritable. You become pessimistic too. All cheerfulness of life is gone from your face. You really become then very boring. You cannot enjoy each other's company without taking a cup of whiskey in your hand. There is no rapport established between human beings. You have to go to a cinema together, or you have to have a discotheque together, but you cannot talk sensibly for more than 5 minutes. You have to have some agencies in between to protect you from each other. Otherwise, there are quarrels and divorces. Human beings are the greatest creation of God's love. They have to know what is God's love is. But when we think of God's love also, we just get confused. It is pure divine blessing. It just emits from your being. It just gives. It doesn't expect anything. The establishment of our own sustenance is very important. Sustenance, it's religion, as I said.
No.
In a religion, sustenance. Just like carbon has 4 valencies, we have 10 sustenance of our own. This green area represents that place where the primordial masters are born to give us that sustenance. Yesterday I told you about them. That's why it was said that be in the center. Do not go to the extremes. But human beings have a special tendency to go at a tangent. If it comes to seeking, they go to such a limit that they will be good for nothing. I have met people who came to me, they had cut their tongues which are wagging like a dog's tongue. Some of them have got popping eyes. Some of them have got these blown up things with too much pranayama. If they will do hatha yoga, they will become just skeletons. If they will take to fasting, they will end up in the grave only. Who has told you to do all these things? Just to destroy this beautiful temple of your being? You should have just waited in the center. Instead of getting so frantic, the God who has created you so beautifully is going to do something about it. He has made you human beings from amoeba stage, and He is going to make you higher. It is His problem, not yours. You did not create yourself. If He does not do something about it, He will have no meaning. His creation will be lost. If He is the God Almighty, He is going to do something about it. But this comes because we think we can also do something about it. But all this should come logically with you. That you do not do anything. What do you do? If a tree dies, you make a chair. You think you have done a great job. You have changed one dead form into another dead form. It's like children playing in the sand. What living work have you done? Have you transformed one flower into fruit? At least children do not get involved into their play. But you do all things so seriously that it is most surprising. There is nothing great in creating these buildings, they are all dead. There is something, of course, when you do something beautiful, then you are doing it for the pleasure of God, to show Him that you can create beauty as a reflection. As you have got a beautiful church at Kshad, which was very beautiful, it's just to glorify God. But you cannot give realization, you cannot give baptism. That is all artificial. You can do artificial things, but God made things are real. After realization, you do living things. You can raise the Kundalini with your hand. You can give realization to people. If you give vibrations, say to a flower, it will sustain life for much longer time. In India, we have some Sahajogis who are professors in agricultural college, university. They have experimented with these vibrations. They have found out that if you give vibrated water to the soil and have the crop of wheat, it is sometimes 10 times more. It won't be 20 times too much, but it would be optimum in the center, where they could not grow coconut. With vibrated coconuts they are growing. We can solve our problem of poverty if we take to Sahaja. But you should not ask to be like Mr. Ford. He is too rich to enter into the kingdom of God. Such people are mad. They go on collecting junks after junks. They have no beauty in them. So, after realization, you understand what is the extreme. Within us, there are other awarenesses also. For the left side of this Iranari, if you move, there is the awareness of collective subconscious. On the right hand side, if you move to the extreme right, there is the area of collective supraconscious. Kundalini is the unconscious. And the lower part we need not discuss, it is the head. Above your head is the collective consciousness. That is the one we have to achieve. We have to become collectively conscious. If you move too much to the left hand side, you are attacked by the left hand entities who exist in this collective subconscious. Yesterday I told you that I saw a BBC program in which they say that in cancer you are attacked from some areas which are built in you from creation. Unknown areas. Surge Yoga is the only way you can cure cancer and stop. Because you go into the super consciousness. When there is a center like this, the left and right hand side energies are pulling the energies from your body. When left and right hand side sympathetic nervous go into activity, the thing becomes much faster and the exhaustion is much more. When it is too much exhausted, then it dries up and it moves outward. Then the relationship with the whole is lost. A cell starts behaving on its own. It becomes egoistical. It says, what's wrong? It becomes a unique cell. It becomes malignant. And it starts overpowering others and also mesmerizing the other cells. In Sahaja Yoga, when the Kundalini rises, she takes your attention to the superconscious. Like in a sari, when you push it out, how the sari is pulled up. Your attention is collected from the left and right extremes. And the Kundalini pierces the Sahasrara. Means the Brahma, which is called as Brahma Randra, means the hole in the Brahma. These vibrations is the Brahma. Now, then the attack actually comes mostly from the left. That is the thing I have noticed in cancer. It is sad, but some of the gurus are doing that. They are introducing left cancer into many disciples. Some of them make them mesmerized so that they become epileptic. One developed through that mesmerism epilepsy and also things like hysteria, melancholia, fright. Some of the gurus have made the disciples so frightened that they are even afraid of garlics. The right side ones are something like the LS number. The right side supraconscious attacks are like LSD. Right side are all our elements, 5 elements. So you start seeing light or hallucinations of sea and all that. You feel you are becoming sea, you are becoming light sort of conscience. Many people who also see me when they have taken LSD, they just see light, they don't see me. So you do not have to be in the past or in the future, but in the center, in the present. The center is a very small thought. Because the thought rises and falls down. And another thought rises and falls down. There is a very little space in between. That space is called as vilamba in Sanskrit language. If this space increases, then you can be in the present. So the thought that has gone back becomes the past, and the one that is coming is the future. One thought comes from the superego and another comes from the ego. Kundalini sucks both of them, and you go in the center. You become the present. Then your language changes. Your hands start emitting the power. Then you say it is coming, it is going. It is rising, it is falling. You speak in third language. Third person. Not in the first person, I do it. You say it doesn't work out, mother. Then you say it works out. It's coming. That means you become akarmi. Actionless. Not non-action. It just emits. This has to happen to you. And then you should know all about chakras. You should know how to maneuver it. You should know how to master it. You have to be experts. If you do not become expert, you will not be happy either. It is such a joy-giving thing. And Saj Yoga is such a joker, he makes you laugh. Because you start witnessing everything. The whole drama finishes off. You are no more involved in the drama. And you are surprised how God's play works. How his illusions play with us. Life becomes such an enjoyment. For you all have to enter into the kingdom of God. I have told you the last judgment has started. It is going to happen through Kundalini awakening only. Is God going to put you on some weighing machine? Kundalini is the central pointer, which will show how far you have gone left and right. And you will correct yourself, because you will come out of yourself and become one with your spirit, which is your real self. And you will know everything about yourself and about it. I am very happy that today there are so many people, and I am sure today it is going to work out even better. Tomorrow I will tell you about other lectures and also what to do after realization. That is much more important in the West, because there are many preconceived ideas about realization and about God. God is what He is. You cannot have your conception about God. Spirit is what it is. But those who know are easy people to remain there.